35 million new major appliances are purchased each year by families across America. By new households just being started. By families replacing worn-out units. But what happens to the old worn-out appliances, dishwashers, washing machines, refrigerators? 21 million of them or more on average every year.
Most end up here, when we're lucky enough to get them picked up. A waste disposal problem that accounts for over 3,000 acre-feet of discarded appliances every year across our nation. Why most end up here? That is until now. And what is being done to overcome this problem on our landscape is the substance of this report.
Metal coated with porcelain enamel has for years been considered the heart of the problem because of potential damage to steel furnaces. The Institute of Scrap Iron and Steel has specifically excluded its use even in the lowest grade of scrap.
When steel companies cannot reuse metal with porcelain, scrap dealers have little use for it either, leaving us too many worn-out appliances no one can use.
16 to 24% of the waste in the United States is solid material, recoverable and reusable. These discards are a tax drain in our pocketbooks and a needless waste of natural resources, giving towns and cities the cost of pickup and maintaining ever-widening landfills. With no value, there has been no economic incentive to change the system, until now. Early in 1972, Whirlpool Corporation decided to re-examine the problem of what to do with discarded appliances. They proposed an experimental program to determine if porcelain enamel was in fact the primary recycling problem. Could it be remelted without damaging costly furnaces? Could scrapped appliance parts be remade into a useful grade of steel? Compelled by the increasing cost of metal, aware of diminishing natural resources and higher prices to come, they concluded was worth trying. For each pound of recycled metal, 3½ pounds less of raw material would need mining and processing. Inland Steel, one of Whirlpool's major steel suppliers, had the facilities to help make the experimental test and was interested in taking part. As a first test, 27 tons of scrapped porcelain parts comprising 7% of the total charge were melted in an open hearth heat. And these were the results. An uneventful charge, porcelain coating does not affect steel properties, which led to the next question. What would happen if the entire appliance, including aluminum plastic, even motors with copper, were charged into the steel-making furnace, like any other grade of scrap? And so Phase 2 began. The most difficult part was collecting several hundred tons of discarded appliances required for a full test series. Our system is not yet geared to economically pick up and dispose of worn-out appliances. Over 400 tons were collected without regard for such critical details as motors with copper or plastic or insulation. Then it was compressed into bundles. Experience later showed they should have been larger and denser for greater efficiency. The porcelainized scrap replaced 6 to 12% of the normal scrap metal in 10 heats. Adjacent open hearth furnaces worked without the scrapped appliances to provide comparisons of the results on furnace walls and the steel's chemistry. The only significant difference, the copper level in the steel from porcelain scrap averaged 0.25%, about twice the copper in comparison heats. Otherwise, all furnace practices were normal. Thus, approximately 3,000 tons of commercial quality copper-bearing steel was produced. Aware of limited applications, Whirlpool asked Inland to set aside some of the steel for further experiments. Inland did. 36 tons for Whirlpool to use for selected parts in washers and dishwashers. The steel is cut to specifications. For recycled steel without copper content, the possibilities for reuse are even wider. This online test is a long first step toward a technological breakthrough. The recycled steel now enters the ultimate manufacturing process. No difficulty was encountered in stamping or processing parts from the recycled appliance steel. parts are integrated into new appliances. In normal operation, the more expensive copper-bearing steel would not be used for these parts. Furthermore, copper-bearing steel is not desirable for porcelainizing, but quite suitable for painted parts. The cycle is now complete. New products using new steel from recycled appliances. Whirlpool's goal in reporting its efforts with Inland Steel is to prove it can be done by others as well. Other companies making and selling steel. Other industries manufacturing goods who also face rising costs. Secondary materials dealers who buy and sell scrap. We have the technology. But what is lacking is a system for the continuous gathering and reuse of major appliances. A system that includes municipal or private pickups that regularly deliver the worn-out appliances to scrap dealers instead of to dumps and landfills. A system that would encourage every scrap processor to accept appliance discards because he knows he can turn it over profitably. A system with further incentives to remove copper, including motors by hand or by wider use of shredding to more efficiently separate clean steel from the other scrap. A necessity for broader use of discarded appliances in the steelmaking process. A system that includes steel plants regularly feeding prepared scrapped appliance parts into the steelmaking furnaces no differently than any other scrap. Such a system must also include each of us who buys a new appliance and wonders what to do with the worn-out unit. We would automatically let our municipal or private pickup system know that we have an appliance available to get rid of, maybe even for sale, when this system becomes efficient. Everyone will profit.
Will this mountain be reduced? It depends on how each of us wants to turn a loss into a profit, each in our own way.
If you are an ecology-minded citizen, have you tried to recycle a used appliance to a scrap dealer in your community? If you are a scrap dealer, have you explored ways to upgrade appliances for sale to your own customers? And if you're a steelmaker or manufacturer, where do you stand? What are you doing?
Whirlpool and Inland have proved it can be done now. But the pace of change here depends on each of us.